The detention cell hummed with the low vibration of alien technology, a sound that reminded Sergeant Marcus Kane of a dentist's drill. He sat on the cold metallic bench, his hands cupped behind his back with restraints that glowed faintly blue. The irony wasn't lost on him. Here he was, captured by beings who thought they were the apex of civilization, while they didn't even know what real warfare looked like. "You find this amusing, human?" The voice belonged to Commander Vexthal, a towering figure with 4 arms and skin that shimmered like oil on water. His species, the Zephyrians, considered themselves the galaxy's peacekeepers. They had rules about conflict protocols, and something they called honorable engagement. Marcus looked up, a slow grin spreading across his face. "Oh, buddy, you have no idea how amusing this is." The alien commander's head tilted, those large black eyes studying the human with what might have been confusion. "Explain." "Well, Commander Pretty Scales, you capture me because you think I'm some kind of war criminal, right? That's what your little report said when you dragged me off that transport ship." "Correct. Your species has been flagged for violations of the Galactic Warfare Accords. You engage in what we classify as barbaric practices." Marcus let out a laugh that echoed off the cell walls. "Barbaric? That's rich coming from a species that thinks dropping plasma bombs on civilian populations is honorable as long as you give them a 5-minute warning first." Commander Vexthal's 4 arms crossed simultaneously, a gesture that would have been intimidating if Marcus hadn't seen worse things crawl out of Baghdad's sewer. "We follow the established codes of warfare. Your species does not." "That's because we don't have established codes of warfare, genius. We have something much more terrifying." Marcus leaned forward, his voice dropping to a whisper. "We have war crimes." The confusion in the alien's eyes deepened. "War crimes? Are these your military strategies?" "Oh, sweet naive alien overlord, war crimes aren't strategies. They're the things we're not supposed to do. They're the lines we're not supposed to cross. They're the acts so horrible, so beyond the pale, that we made them illegal." Marcus paused, letting that sink in. "And the fact that we had to make them illegal should tell you something about what we're capable of." The cell door hissed open, and 2 more aliens entered. One was clearly a scientist, with additional optical sensors grafted to his skull. The other looked like security, carrying what humans had dubbed a zap stick after several painful encounters. "Ah, the gang's all here," Marcus said cheerfully. "Let me guess, Dr. Tentacles here wants to study the violent human specimen?" The scientist, who introduced himself as Research Prime Kolnev, activated a recording device. "We wish to understand these war crimes you speak of. Our databases show that your species has created extensive documentation about prohibited actions in warfare. You've been doing your homework. That's adorable." Marcus shifted on the bench, trying to find a comfortable position despite the restraints. "Okay, story time. But I'm warning you, you might want to sit down for this." Commander Vexthal remained standing, his posture rigid. "Proceed." "Let's start with something simple. Chemical weapons. You know, gas that melts your lungs, burns your skin off, makes you bleed from every orifice until you die in agony. We used it in World War I, and it was so horrific that we banned it. But here's the kicker. We didn't ban it because we couldn't make worse stuff. We banned it because it was too effective at making people suffer." The aliens exchanged glances. Dr. Kolnev made notes on his device. "This is concerning. But surely these are historical aberrations." "Oh, sweet summer child," Marcus said, his voice dripping with sarcasm. "That's just the appetizer. Let's talk about biological weapons. Diseases engineered to kill specific genetic markers. Plagues that spread through the air. Viruses that lie dormant for years before activating. We banned those too, not because we can't make them, but because we're too good at making them." The security guard shifted uncomfortably, his grip tightening on the zap stick. Marcus noticed and chuckled. "What's wrong, Officer Sparky?" Starting to realize that maybe capturing a human wasn't such a great idea. Commander Vexthal's voice took on a sterner tone. "You are attempting to intimidate us with tales of your species' primitive brutality. This proves only that humans are uncivilized." "Primitive?" Marcus's laugh was sharp now, with an edge that made the aliens take a step back. You think we're primitive? Let me tell you about precision. Commander, let me tell you about the art of selective cruelty. He leaned back against the wall, his expression becoming distant. We have rules about not targeting medics. You know why? Because we realize that if you wound a soldier, you take 3 people out of the fight, the wounded guy, and 2 others to carry him to safety. But if you kill the medic, suddenly nobody wants to help the wounded. It's tactical, it's efficient, and it's so cold-blooded that we made it illegal. Dr. Colnetha's optical sensors whirred as they focused on Marcus. This is strategic thinking, not barbarism. Exactly. That's what makes it terrifying. We don't just stumble into cruelty, we engineer it. We perfect it. We make it into an art form, and then we have to make laws to stop ourselves from being too good at it. The room fell silent, except for the humming of the ship systems. Marcus could see the wheels turning in their alien minds. Try to process what he was telling them. You want to know what really scares me about your species? Marcus continued, his voice soft now, almost conversational. You guys think you're advanced because you have rules about warfare, honor codes, proper procedures. But you've never had to make something illegal because you were too good at it. Commander Vexthal's posture had changed. He was no longer the confident captor, but something more uncertain. What are you implying? I'm not implying anything, Commander. I'm stating a fact. Your species has never had to create the concept of war crimes because you've never been creative enough to need them. You fight with rules because you can't imagine what fighting without them would look like. Marcus stood up, his restraints clanking against the bench. But we can. We've imagined it, we've done it, and we've documented it so thoroughly that we have entire libraries dedicated to the things we're not supposed to do to each other. The security guard raised his zap stick, but Commander Vexthal held up a hand to stop him. Continue. Torture, Marcus said simply. Not just causing pain, but the science of breaking a person's mind while keeping their body intact. We've cataloged every method, every technique, every psychological trick. We know exactly how to reduce a sentient being to a gibbering wreck without leaving a mark. And we made it illegal because we got too good at it. Dr. Colnetha's device beeped softly as he processed this information. Your species has studied the methodical destruction of consciousness. Studied it? We wrote the manual. Then we threw the manual in a vault because we realized we were becoming too efficient at breaking people. Marcus's grin was sharp now, predatory. You see, other species, they might torture for information or revenge. Crude, emotional, inefficient. But humans, we turned it into a science. We could break anyone, extract any information, reduce any enemy to a sobbing shell of their former self. The aliens were backing toward the door now, their earlier confidence evaporating like morning mist. And the beautiful part, Marcus continued, his voice rising with enthusiasm, is that we didn't stop there. We studied the psychology of the torturers, too. We learned how to make people enjoy causing pain, how to turn ordinary soldiers into monsters, how to make cruelty feel like duty. Then we had to make that illegal, too, because we were too good at making people evil. Commander Vexthal's voice was barely a whisper. This is madness. No, Commander. This is human ingenuity applied to warfare. And the fact that we had to create laws to limit our own creativity should tell you something important. Marcus took a step forward, his restraint sparking against the energy field that held him. We're not the monsters because we break the rules. We're the monsters because we had to make the rules in the first place. The cell door hissed open again, and more aliens filed in. These were different, wearing what looked like ceremonial robes and carrying data tablets. Their leader, an elderly creature with silver markings on his carapace, approached slowly. I am Elder Morthak of the Galactic Council, he said, his voice carrying the weight of authority. We have been monitoring this interrogation. Your claims are disturbing. Marcus's expression shifted to mock surprise. Oh, did I say something wrong? I thought you wanted to understand human warfare. I'm just getting started. Elder Morthak exchanged glances with Commander Vexthal. Perhaps we should reconsider our approach to your species. Now you're thinking. Marcus said brightly. See, here's the thing about humans, Elder. We don't just fight to win. We fight to make sure our enemies never want to fight us again. It's not enough to defeat them. We have to defeat the idea of fighting us. The room was completely silent now, all eyes on the human, who seemed to be enjoying himself immensely. Take psychological warfare, Marcus continued. We've learned how to break an enemy's will before the first shot is fired. We can make them afraid of shadows, jumping at every sound, doubting their own allies. We can plant ideas in their heads that will eat them alive from the inside. And we're so good at it that we had to make it partially illegal because it was too effective. Dr. Kolnetha's optical sensors were working overtime, recording every word. You speak of warfare as if it were entertainment. No, document. I speak of warfare as if it were art. And humans are the Picassos of making other people suffer. Marcus's grin widened. But here's the really fun part. Everything I've told you so far, that's just the stuff we made illegal. Imagine what we kept legal. The silence stretched on, broken only by the soft humming of the ship systems and the occasional beep from Dr. Kolnetha's recording device. Elder Morthak finally spoke. What do you want from us, human? Marcus pretended to think about it. You know what? I don't want anything from you. You captured me, remember? I'm just sitting here, sharing some fun facts about human nature. But since you asked, his voice dropped to a whisper that somehow carried throughout the room. I want you to remember this conversation when you're trying to decide whether to go to war with humanity. The weight of his words settled over the room like a blanket of ice. #aliens thought humans were harmless until a Marine explained what war crimes meant. HFY SCI. The silence that followed was deafening. Elder Morthak's silver marking seemed to dim as he processed the implications. Commander Vexthol's four arms hung limp at his sides, and even the security guard had lowered his zap stick. Marcus stretched his shoulders, wincing slightly as the restraints bit into his wrists. You know what the really funny part is? I'm not even the scary kind of human. I'm just a grunt, a regular Marine who follows orders and tries to keep his buddies alive. You want to meet the really terrifying ones? Talk to a human strategist. Talk to someone who plans these things. Dr. Kolnetha's voice was barely audible. There are humans more dangerous than you. Oh, Doc, you sweet, naive creature. I'm like a house cat compared to humans who sit in rooms and plan wars. Marcus laughed, but there was no humor in it now. See, I might know how to kill you 50 different ways with my bare hands, but they know how to kill your entire civilization with a spreadsheet and a smile. The aliens looked at each other with what could only be described as growing panic. Elder Morthak stepped forward, his ceremonial robes rustling. Surely you exaggerate. Do I? Let me tell you about a little thing called economic warfare. You don't even know you're under attack until your entire society collapses. We can manipulate your currency, crash your stock markets, create food shortages, turn your own people against each other, all without firing a single shot. And the beauty of it? You'll blame yourself for the collapse. Commander Vexthol's voice cracked slightly. This is not warfare. This is genocide without the mess, Marcus finished cheerfully. We can destroy entire civilizations and never technically commit a war crime, because we never technically win a war. We just help things along. The room seemed to shrink around them. Dr. Kolnetha's recording device was beeping frantically now, trying to keep up with the flow of information. But wait, there's more, Marcus said, his voice taking on the tone of a television salesman. We've got cultural warfare, too. We can make your own children reject everything you stand for. We can make them want to be human instead of whatever you are. We can export our values, our beliefs, our entire way of thinking until your species voluntarily abandons its own identity. Elder Morthak sank into a chair that materialized from the floor. How is this possible? Entertainment, mostly. Movies, music, games, social media. We make it so appealing that other species beg us to share it with them. Before you know it, their kids are wearing human clothes, speaking human languages, and dreaming human dreams. Conquest through cultural osmosis. The security guard was trembling now, his zap stick forgotten in his shaking hands. But this is brilliant, Marcus suggested. Yeah, we thought so too. The best part is the conquered species usually thanks us for it. They think we're sharing our culture out of friendship, not realizing we're systematically replacing theirs. Dr. Kolneth looked up from his device. How do you know all this? Because, Doc, every human knows this stuff. It's not classified information. It's just how we think. We don't even realize we're doing it half the time. It's like breathing for us. Marcus shrugged as much as his restraints would allow. You guys think warfare is about armies and weapons. For us, warfare is about making the other guy not want to fight anymore. Permanently. Elder Morthak's voice was hollow. What have we done? You've poked the bear, Elder. Except the bear is actually a shape-shifting nightmare that's been pretending to be harmless to avoid scaring the other animals in the forest. The door hissed open once more, and a new figure entered. This one was different from the others, wearing what looked like military insignia, but moving with the fluid grace of a predator. When it spoke, its voice was modulated by some kind of translator device. I am War Chief Zakton of the Hegemony Fleet. We have heard your words, human. Marcus's eyebrows rose. Well, the big guns have arrived. Let me guess. You're here to tell me about how your species has been conquering the galaxy for 1,000 years, and I should be impressed? We have conquered 47 star systems. We are the apex military force in the sector of the galaxy. 47 systems in 1,000 years. Marcus did some quick math in his head. That's wow. That's adorable. We conquered our entire planet in about 6,000 years, and we were fighting ourselves the whole time. War Chief Zakton's posture stiffened. You speak of conquering your own species? Well, yeah, we had to practice on someone, and we were the only sapient species around at the time. So we conquered each other, over and over, until we got really good at it. Then we ran out of other humans to conquer. So we started looking up at the stars and wondering what else was out there. The temperature in the room seemed to drop several degrees. Dr. Kolneth's optical sensors were focused entirely on Marcus now, recording every word, every gesture. You see, War Chief, you guys made a fundamental error in your assessment of humanity. You looked at our technology, our military capabilities, our weapons, and you thought you understood what we were. But you never looked at our history. Marcus stood up slowly, his restraint sparking against the energy field. We've been at war with ourselves for our entire existence. Every advance in human civilization came from trying to kill other humans more efficiently. Medicine? We learned it patching up soldiers. Engineering? We learned it building better fortifications. Chemistry? We learned it making better explosives. War Chief Zakton's translator crackled. This is impossible. A species cannot develop while constantly at war with itself. Can it? Marcus grinned. We've had 2 world wars, Chief. Not planetary conflicts, not territorial disputes, but actual global wars where every major power on our planet picked sides and tried to destroy each other. And you know what happened afterward? We advanced faster than ever before. The aliens were backing toward the walls now. Their earlier confidence completely evaporated. World War II ended in 1945. By 1969, we were walking on our moon. In 24 years, we went from global destruction to space exploration. You know why? Because war makes us creative. It makes us innovative. It makes us better at everything we do. Elder Morthak's voice was barely a whisper. What are you saying? I'm saying that every human advancement, every piece of technology, every scientific breakthrough, every cultural innovation, all of it came from our endless, creative, beautifully destructive war with ourselves. We didn't just develop weapons. We developed the entire concept of development through conflict. Marcus began pacing, his restraints trailing behind him like chains. And now you've given us something new to fight. Something that isn't human. Do you have any idea how excited we're going to be about that? The room was completely silent, except for the sound of Marcus's footsteps and the increasingly frantic beeping of Dr. Kolneth's device. See, when we fight other humans, we have to hold back. We know their psychology, their weaknesses, their breaking points. We've mapped every aspect of human nature because we've been exploiting it for millennia. But aliens? You're a completely new puzzle to solve. War Chief Zakton tried to maintain his composure. We have defenses. We have weapons. We have allies. Oh, I'm sure you do. But here's the thing, Chief. You developed all that stuff fighting other aliens. Species that think like you, that have similar limitations, similar moral frameworks. You've never fought a species that views warfare as a form of artistic expression. Marcus stopped pacing and turned to face the assembled aliens. You know what the scariest part is? I'm not threatening you. I'm not making demands. I'm not even trying to escape. I'm just sitting here, explaining to you exactly what you've gotten yourselves into. And the fact that I'm being this honest with you should absolutely terrify you. Dr. Kolneff looked up from his device. Why are you telling us this? Because, Doc, it doesn't matter. Nothing I tell you will help you prepare for what's coming. You can record every word, analyze every detail, share it with every military strategist in the galaxy, and it still wouldn't matter. The security guard found his voice. Why not? Because you're still thinking like aliens. You're still trying to understand warfare from your perspective. But human warfare isn't about strategy or tactics or even victory. It's about making the other guy regret ever starting the fight in the first place. Elder Morthak stood up slowly. We could release you, return you to your people, pretend this never happened. Marcus's laugh was soft and sad. Oh, Elder, sweet, naive Elder, you really don't understand, do you? You didn't just capture me. You captured a United States Marine. Do you know what that means? The aliens shook their heads. It means that somewhere out there, there's a group of humans who are very, very upset that you took their friend. And Marines, well, we have a motto, leave no one behind. They're not going to forget about me. They're not going to move on. They're going to come looking. The room was deadly quiet now. And when they do, they're not going to be interested in your surrender. They're not going to accept your apology. They're going to want to make an example of you. They're going to want to show the rest of the galaxy what happens when you mess with humans. Marcus sat back down on the bench, his expression almost serene. So no, Elder, you can't just pretend this never happened. You've already crossed the line. You've already made the choice. Now you get to live with the consequences. War Chief Zaktun's translator sputtered. We can negotiate. We could offer tribute. You could surrender, Marcus said simply. Completely, unconditionally. Turn over your entire fleet, your technology, your government, everything. Maybe, if you're very lucky and very convincing, they'll let you keep your dignity. The aliens looked at each other with expressions of pure terror. Or, Marcus continued, his voice taking on a cheerful tone, you could fight. You could show the galaxy what you're made of. You could go down in history as the species that took on humanity and gave it your best shot. He paused, letting that sink in. Just remember, when you're making that choice, everything I've told you about war crimes, that's just the stuff we made illegal when we were fighting ourselves. When we fight aliens, well, his grin was sharp enough to cut glass. We might have to write some new laws afterward. The detention cell fell silent once more, except for the soft humming of alien technology and the quiet breathing of beings who had just realized they might have made the biggest mistake in galactic history. Outside the cell, alarms began to wail. Red lights flashed in the corridors. Through the small window, the aliens could see ships appearing on the horizon, sleek and predatory, bearing the unmistakable markings of the United Earth Navy. Marcus looked up at the sound, his expression shifting to one of genuine happiness. Oh, would you look at that? The cavalry's here. Right on time, too. He stood up, and somehow, despite the restraints, despite being outnumbered and outgunned, he looked like the most dangerous thing in the room. Gentlemen, he said, his voice carrying the weight of absolute certainty, class is now in session. Time for your final exam in human warfare. The first explosions lit up the sky outside, and Marcus Kane smiled a smile at a man who knew that his species had just been given permission to show the galaxy what they were truly capable of. The age of human restraint was over